The wild and crazy claims of Dr. Carrie A. Reams. Although almost everyone has heard stories of Food and Drug Administration raids on so-called quack doctors or snake oil salesmen, few people are aware of how the system works. They don't understand the basis for the draconian attacks on alternative doctors or other healers that make the headlines. The key, in a nutshell, is that if any healer, or even you or I, make health claims for any substance, process, or device, then the Pure Food and Drug laws require that we have peer-approved scientific evidence on record proving such claims, including both animal and human studies. This process, combined with patent laws, provides the impetus or monetary reason for a vast sea of drugs designed to heal human ailments. Let's see if we can illustrate this with two examples. First case, you are a doctor and you find some old folk remedy originally used to remove warts also takes off skin cancers, let's say 95% of the time. You take the product to, let's call it Eli Lilly, to have it manufactured in USP purity. They tell you bluntly that the substance cannot be patented and that they have no wish to do business with you. Undeterred, you make up the product in your home lab and start using it to routinely remove skin cancers. You also tell your patients what you are doing. Before long, a trail of dying skin cancer patients from across the country is at your door. As the healed patients go back home, they start telling their oncologists or cancer doctors that they won't be needing cancer treatment services anymore because they no longer have the skin cancers. The disappointed oncologist, along with many of his fellows who have lost business, reports the situation to the local medical society. The society investigates and files a report with the FDA that Dr. So-and-so is using unconventional therapy to deal with skin cancer. You probably know the rest. The government raid with drawn weapons, the seized computers and records, the adverse newspaper stories, the heavy fines, the possible jail time, and the loss of license. Contrast the above with this second scenario. A company, let's say again Eli Lilly, hears that some tribe somewhere uses plant X to numb headaches. Company agents retrieve some of the plant and extract the active ingredient. Company chemists devise a way to simulate the ingredient and manufacture the analog out of one of their byproducts or the byproduct of some other industry. A drug patent is filed and a new drug, a headache blocker, now exists, but it cannot be marketed. Eli then contracts with animal researchers to provide the experiments and studies that, quote, prove the new drug has a toxicity level at least no higher than average for that class of drugs. Eli presents the studies to the FDA and files an application to use the drug on humans. The application is approved and the human studies phase begins. Doctors around the country are enlisted to test the drug. Ads in newspapers find subjects who are willing to allow the drug to be introduced into their bodies, either orally or by injection, and Eli collates the information for presentation to the FDA. Should the drug show efficacy and the reports of serious adverse side effects are no higher than average, the drug will be licensed by the FDA. Eli is then free to start their musical TV marketing claims that request people to ask your doctor. Simultaneously, drug company detail men are providing free samples to all the physicians of the land. Perhaps you know the rest. The drug is profitably promoted and sold until the patent expires. Eli, who spent many multiples of millions developing the drug, reaps the benefit of their labor with $5 a pop pills. Except in those few cases when the drug turns deadly. Injured people then join with lawyers in massive class action suits. When the patent expires, generic drug manufacturers enter the arena, and Eli milks the last few dollars they can with a more competitive pricing structure. At some point, the drug is forgotten or shelved as it just doesn't work right anymore. The real point of the two stories is that if you play by the system, you can sleep at night without fear of being raided. However, there are other ways to help people heal that the FDA simply does not know what to do with. The classic illustration is homeopathy, practiced by significant numbers of physicians and laymen. Because there is no substance that homeopaths use, and their so-called medicines really contain nothing but water, the normal FDA policy is to ignore homeopathy and its mild and not wild claims. So what should the medical societies do with the wild claims of such men as Kerry Reams? Generally, they attack. Who can blame them? Just take a look at a few of the claims Reams has made that never went the scientific studies route. Reams claimed that heart attacks can be predicted and prevented, that ordinary lemons can improve one's health, that cancer is merely an accumulation of old dead cells, that vitamin C is routinely stored in the human system, that organ maladies and breakdown can be predicted years in advance, that deteriorated organs can be rebuilt, that drugs are useless, that instead mineral supplements can do what drugs are claimed to do. Reams claimed that radiation is always deadly. He claimed that mineral deficiency is at the root of all disease, that cells develop by electrolysis like ionization and not by dividing. Who can blame the medical societies for gnashing their teeth in anger at hearing Reams' wild claims? Here was a man who turned everything they practiced on its head. The medical doctor is trained that the human body requires ingestion of an external substance, in other words a drug, to cure any and all ailments. Their job description calls for them to diagnose by carefully reviewing the symptoms of their patients. Once that is done, it is a simple matter to open the physician's desk reference, or PDR, and find the currently recommended drug that will cause those symptoms to go away. This is entirely proper, as they have no idea of the cause of disease, and symptom relief is always welcome to the patient. At the present time, the legal system of the various states of the U.S. only allow for duly licensed physicians to practice, and then only those narrow methods outlined above. For personal reasons, Dr. Kerry Reams chose to not have a medical license. He felt that taking out a license amounted to joining a union, a grouping he thought generally immoral and perhaps unholy. He worked closely for decades with various of his friends who were MDs at the 3 largest hospitals in Orlando, and often commented on how they experienced personal angst that they were bound by PDR procedures and could not do what they thought truly best for their patients. Dr. Reams suffered mightily for his wild and crazy claims, including jail time. The fact that he could prove his methods worked merely by exhibiting the thousands he healed after ordinary medical science had given up meant exactly nothing to those who attacked him. Quite the contrary. Anytime those now healthy survivors mounted the witness box, their testimony allowed the prosecutors to prove that Reams had indeed practiced medicine without a license. The point of this brief read-along is that you, as an RBTI practitioner or RBTI client, will most likely see some rather miraculous changes in people's health, and you must resist the urge to shout it from the treetops. The nature of our legal system is such that you can only cause hardship and persecution to those you think you are helping. Nothing in this read-along is meant to imply you should not help your fellow man or woman. It is only a warning to be very, very cautious about making claims. Always stay within the law. Those who are considering using RBTI in a more than casual way may wish to carefully read Dr. Lawrence Wilson's readily available Legal Guidelines for Unlicensed Practitioners.